husband and I both play sports, and we love sports. And I know y'all are thinking, you sissy thing, you didn't play sports, but I did. I should have cared more. I was worried about my hair, but anyway, we loved it, and we pushed our 4-year-old, our oldest, when he was 4, we made him do t-ball. And I was thinking about it because it's t-ball season right now. And t-ball, if you don't know anything about t-ball season, it's about 110 degrees outside. The games last about 3 hours. It's little children with looks like they got a pull-up on under their baseball pants. Nobody ever hits the ball, throws the ball, makes contact with the ball. My boy hated it and laid in a fetal position on his glove the entire season. And every once in a while, he'd pop his little head up and say, "Water." And my middle child was about 2.5 at the time, and I said, "Please take your brother bottled water out there to the field." And she was 2.5. She had her crown and her wand and her tutu and her pink prostitute shoes from Walmart on. And she went running out to the field and stopped and got a glazed look over her eyes, pulled her panties to the side, and pooped in the t-ball field. I had to run out there and get a stick and flick it into the woods because I didn't want another child to step in it or think it was a milk dud. But he refused to play sports until he was probably about in middle school. He was so traumatized by all of that. All over the United States, they've got this thing called competition cheer. And it's kind of like, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like Honey Boo Boo meets the Olympics, really. It's gymnast. They're gymnasts. And there's one in Knoxville called the Sharks. And they said, drop your baby off and she can try out to audition, whatever you want to call it. So I dropped her off, and they ended up putting her on a bad mamma jamma team because all the little children her age came up to hear on her. And somebody's got to throw them up in the air. So they were thrilled with her, and they treated us like royalty. But anyway, they said, you're going to come in here twice a week, learn a 2-minute routine. It's going to cost you $150 a month. It's like, okay. They said, there's a uniform that you're going to order, and it comes to here. It's going to expose her stomach. She's going to have a tiny skirt on with a slit in it with a glitter panty underneath it. It's $300. I said, that's a whore outfit. And it came with its own bag of whore makeup. So that all the little children could look alike. And they said, y'all are going to travel to faraway lands and compete against other little whore children. So we went to like Cincinnati or Atlanta. And we had to get hotel rooms and the gas and all of that. And then you drive up to a big coliseum, a huge coliseum. And there's tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And my husband said, there could be pedophiles here. This is the ugliest thing I've ever, something's not right. Okay, so then they said, you're going to pay $150 for your baby to be in this competition. You're going to have to pay $30 to put a band on to get in and watch your baby in this competition. Somebody was selling corn dogs for $15. Okay. They start out with the babies, so it goes from 5 to 18 ages. So the babies come out in a tiny little skirt about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s. And they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front doing every move to keep their baby on track because they're babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. So they move up throughout the day into my baby's age, and they're the reef sharks. They call out that name, honey, for 2.5 minutes. My baby throws little children up in the air. So they said, you're going to, for 10 weeks, you're going to do CrossFit 3 days a week, and you're going to do the paleo diet. The paleo diet is what God put upon this earth to sustain us. And He knows what we need. So it's lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, berries, and seeds. So if you can run it down and kill it, dig it out of the ground, pick it off of a bush, you can eat it. That means no dairy, no grains of any kind. But when they take you lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and berries, you think, that's not so bad. Okay, but no dairy, no grains. When's the last time anybody in here got off of white flour? Anybody, can you clap? Can you clap, or are you too weak? Anybody here been hooked on heroin? Anybody? I've never been hooked on heroin, praise God, but I was raised watching Shaft. I don't know if y'all watched that when y'all were little on TV, and they would always have somebody getting off of heroin. It looked like a booger. It looked like an awful booger. And I'm not trying to belittle that, but I'm telling you, I shook getting off of sugar and white flour. I was drinking coffee 24 hours a day. My teeth got yellow. I had to have those bleached. My husband said, you are so hateful. Will you please eat a piece of white bread? But Church of God Becky and I did it, honey. We did it. And I mean, then they took our after picture. It took, 10 weeks later, and I did not lose that much weight. It was like 8 or 9 pounds, but my body turned into somebody else's body, honey. And it was pretty cute. And I leaned out and I thought, oh my gosh. And so then they took our after picture, and I made sure I got a spray tan. And I had a really good bra on, and I took that picture. And I'm ashamed to tell y'all, but I won that competition. No, stop. I don't deserve to be applauded. I know y'all are thinking, oh gosh, Leanne, that's wonderful, but what happened? What happened, Leanne? I'll tell you what happened. I did okay for about 3 weeks, and then I spotted a tortilla. That's what happened. Who do you think's easier to raise? Just yell it out. Boys or girls? Boys. Boys. Every once in a while, a little frail woman will yell, girl. And she's probably being threatened. But anyway, no. We love our girls. I love my girls. I truly do. And I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. Because my boy will be off with his wife and her people. Because he said to me, he brought her home and he said, you got a terrible look on your forehead. And I said, oh, it's nothing against her. It's just I'm jealous because I thought you would only love me. I know that's twisted. I know it is. But he was the best thing that ever happened to me. All right, my kids all yell at me, and my husband, everybody's in a bad mood all the time, and he's the only one that's never fussed at me. And he was just the sweetest child growing up. And so when he said he was going to marry somebody and move off, it was awful. But let me say that I love her, and they live near us, and she's like another child to me, and it has been a blessing. She is very sweet and has forgiven me for my forehead looks. But anyway, but he said to me right before they got married, he goes, Mom, she's going to be my immediate family. You're now my extended family. He said, Mom, that's biblical. I thought, why did I show him the Bible? Let me tell y'all about him. He's an old soul. Have you ever met anybody that was an old soul? He was born an 80-year-old man. He has had a garden since he was in 6th grade. He plays the mountain dulcimer and the banjo. He woodworks. He makes spoons. He makes spoons. I mean, he is so yummy. All right, his favorite music is gospel bluegrass. His favorite, oh, well, no. Okay. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. All right. His favorite artist was Dr. Ralph Stanley. Dr. Ralph, look at you. Look at you. Knowing who Dr. Ralph Stanley is. Okay, for those of you who don't, he was on the Oh Brother Where Art Thou. That is probably the most famous thing he did. But he was the godfather of Mountain Soul. He ended up dying at like 92. He had a little cowboy hat propped on his head. Yummy. Okay, he would come through Knoxville, and I would take my son to see Dr. Ralph when my son couldn't drive. They propped little Dr. Ralph up on stage because he was so old. I almost threw my panties at him because that's what you do to Tom Jones. And I love him. But anyway, I'm standing there listening to Dr. Ralph Stanley singing gospel bluegrass, and I think to myself, how many teenage boys are listening to this? What are teenage boys listening to? Rihanna, Waka Flocka Flame, some of that nasty goings on. I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I had to yell at my boy, turn that gospel bluegrass down. You're out of control. If I hear I saw the light one more time, crap to me. Things like no more riding toys. And I'm like, okay, but I cannot take back this Chevy with a gooseneck. And then they said to me the other day, we're going to have to wean this one off his pacifier. And I was like, yep, that's a good idea. And then I went home and ordered as many as I could off the internet. Now I know why my little mom and daddy acted the way they did. They helped me so much, and my children would spend the night with them. And I remember going to pick them up, and I said to my little daddy, Daddy, they've got a yellow film over their teeth. Had they brushed their teeth since we've been gone? And my daddy shook and got so mad at me and said, they didn't want to. My little mama, Lucille, every time when they were little, they'd go visit them, Mama would sling open that back door and say, welcome. Here's some magic markers right on the wall. Come on into Mama's house and go back and get Mama's bed and take this bucket of chicken with you. Take this bucket of chicken with you and this little bag of mini marshmallows and waller in Mama's bed and watch Disney until 3 a.m. in the morning. I do the same thing, honey. I do the same thing. I know. Who doesn't love chicken in the bed? And let me tell y'all that we beg them all the time to go on vacation with us. We want these babies. I want all my children and my babies with me. And let me tell you that I'm a beach person. I'm a beach person. And y'all have it made here. Y'all do. I hope y'all know that. If I hit it big someday, I would love to be at the beach. But Chuck Morgan doesn't believe in Joey. So his favorite vacation is snow skiing. And so when we met, In college, he said, I'm going to raise my children snow ski. And I thought, ooh, what is that? Because I didn't know much about it because I was raised in a town of 500 people on the Kentucky-Tennessee border, and people don't snow ski there. And I remember seeing it every once in a while on TV and thinking, that must be the Queen and her people. But anyway, Chuck Morgan, when we married, he wanted me to learn, and so he bought me a really nice outfit, one of those ski outfits, and y'all know if you've snow skied, all that stuff is very expensive, so I had to wear that for 15 years. And I did not keep my weight down. So the first time I went, he sent me to beautiful Beaver Creek, Colorado. That is beautiful, I know. And he put me in ski school with a group of people, and our instructor looked like Mitt Romney. And I was up on that mountain, and I had on my outfit, and I wanted to be that thin, young, cute, fun ski girl. Okay. A big old cold front came in, some big weather front came in, and snow was blowing sideways, and you couldn't see your hand in front of you. And Mitt looked at all of us and said, if we get down. Let me tell y'all about her. I have treated her different from all the other ones, honey, because, all right, everything that she'd do, like she'd start crying when she's a baby, because babies, you know, the third, fourth, and fifth, you know, they cry, and you just let them. And I'd be like, what's she crying about? She wants your toy? Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it. I remember saying one time, you want those knives to play with? Okay. What? Okay. When she was getting her driver's license, so different from when the first one got his. Honey, he got his, and we were so strict with him. We'd say, you can go to school, but you got to call us when you get there. You can only come home. And then after 6 months, we were like, you can go to Steak and Shake. And then you got to come home. So strict. Then the second one didn't care anything about driving, really didn't start till she was close to 17. Well, this baby wanted hers the day she turned 16. I didn't think she was going to pass it because she doesn't care. So, but she did because she's smart. All right, let me tell you, she's one of those kids that, I know y'all know people like this. Like if I gave her $20 and said, make it to New York tonight, she would do it and have money left over. Like she's, you know, people like that, like got it up. Okay. So she passed that test. I was so mad because I thought, oh, I'm not going to have a baby in the car with me anymore, even though when they're in middle school and high school, isn't that aggravating? When they turn that radio up and it's blasting and I don't like that song and booming and a-doing. And then I'm trying to drive and I feel like when I can't hear, I can't see. Oh, I don't know. It's awful. But she went and got that darn driver's license, and this is how different it was raising her from the first one and the second one. She got that driver's license. My husband and I were sitting there at night, and he said, where is she? And I said, I don't know. And he said, does she have any money? And I said, I don't know. Nobody ever said another word. Well, all over the United States, they've got this thing called competition cheer. And it's kind of like, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like Honey Boo Boo meets the Olympics. Really. It's gymnast. They're gymnasts. And there's one in Knoxville called the Sharks. And they said, drop your baby off and she can try out to audition, whatever you want to call it. So I dropped her off and they ended up putting her on a bad mamma jamma team because all the little children her age came up to hear on her. And somebody's got to throw them up in the air. So they were thrilled with her. and they treated us like royalty. But anyway, they said, you're going to come in here twice a week, learn a 2-minute routine. It's going to cost you $150 a month. It's like, okay. They said, there's a uniform that you're going to order, and it comes to here. It's going to expose her stomach. She's going to have a tiny skirt on with a slit in it with a glitter panty underneath it. It's $300. I said, that's a whore outfit. And it came with its own bag of whore makeup. So that all the little children could look alike. And they said, y'all are gonna travel to faraway lands and compete against other little whore children. So we went to like Cincinnati or Atlanta. And we had to get hotel rooms and the gas and all of that. And then you drive up to a big coliseum, a huge coliseum. And there's tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And my husband said, there could be pedophiles here. This is the awfulest thing I've ever, something's not right. Okay, so then they said, you're gonna pay $150 for your baby to be in this competition. You're gonna have to pay $30 to put a band on to get in and watch your baby in this competition. Somebody was selling corn dogs for $15. Okay. They start out with the babies, so it goes from 5 to 18 ages. So the babies come out in a tiny little skirt about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s. And they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front doing every move to keep their baby on track because they're babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. So they move up throughout the day into my baby's age, and they're the reef sharks. They call out that name, honey, for 2.5 minutes. My baby throws little children up in the air, flinging little children, broken out in a sweat, working like a Trojan. Did you see my Spanx? Okay, all right. One of my girls said I look like Miley Cyrus in the Wrecking Ball in my Spanx. But anyway, so she throws these little children up. The little children she's throwing up in the air are the flyers. They call them the flyers. And they're freakishly tiny little children. I don't know where these people come from. Their mamas are freakishly tiny. I mean, I come from big people. I've got thick ankles. I can work in the fields. And the whole time she's throwing them up there, these little girls are going. Knows why, really. So at the end of the routine, after the 2.5 minutes, the finale, everybody hunkers down on the stage, puts their forehead on the stage, and my baby is the finale. She pops up and has a little child's foot in her hand and holds that child's foot. I would put it all the way up, but my dress is tight in the back. But anyway, she holds this little child up over her head. Are y'all listening to me? I mean, it was a big deal. I mean, could you hold her up over your head or vice versa? I mean, you know, it's a big deal. So anyway, everybody went nuts. But she said, after it was over, she goes, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go back to playing. She ended up playing volleyball the rest of her childhood. But she said, I'm keeping that whore outfit. She said, I'm going to get married in it. I'm going to cry. Oh, that was so sweet, and I needed that words of affirmation from y'all. Thank y'all. I'm so tickled to be here. Y'all are darling. My mouth is dry. I'm not used to this altitude. And it's made me fat. No, I'm kidding. Okay, no, that's just who I am. Okay, let me tell y'all that I am a mama, and I have 3 children that I'm in love with, and I am now an empty nester. I have 2 in college and 1 married, and you think I'd look forward to being an empty nester. Some people go, woo. I don't feel woo. I miss them. My husband misses them. I found Netflix when the last one left, my baby child, she's now 20, when she left, I took to the bed and I ate chocolate-covered blueberries that you get at Target. And I found Netflix and I binged watched Scandal. Have y'all seen Scandal? That first season, the chemistry between the 2 main characters, I think something's really going on. Anyway, it set me on fire. And so I laid up in the bed and watched that and like ordered Jimmy John's from my bed. And my husband said, are you all right? But I ended up getting sciatica from laying in the bed. I didn't get bed sores. I got sciatica and then ended up having to get physical therapy that cost $1,000 because of my deductible. But anyway, I grieve so much over my kids being gone. All right, so when my husband gets home, he's as sad as I am. When he gets home, we just stare out into space. And he's very quiet. He's an introvert. He doesn't talk. He doesn't chat. So I just sit and talk to myself. And we have 2 beagle hounds, and we just sit and kiss them in the mouth. And they are yummy. And we go to bed, and a lot of y'all look really young in here, and I'm going to scare y'all to death, but I'm going to tell y'all, look at these young girls right here. I'm going to tell y'all what your future is going to be, okay? All right, when you get to be about your mid-40s, you're going to start a thing called perimenopause. It's before you go through menopause, and it makes you crazy. And you sweat in the bed at night. Okay, and all your hormones get messed up. All right, I go to the bedroom, and I am so hot at night that I put the air on 68 because I don't want to die. My husband puts it back up on 70. And he says, you're freezing me to death. He's having to wear pajamas for the first time in our marriage. Okay. He said, I can see my breath. That's a lie. But I know he is cold because one time he had to wear a toboggan. But anyway, we get in the bed, and that big beagle, who is 10 years old, a boy named Augie, who is so sweet. My husband spoons him in the bed. And then we've got a new little beagle that is a pocket beagle, and her name is Gigi, and she is so yummy. And she had a nervous tick when we got her, and she ate our couch. But other than that, I love her. And she gets in the bed, and she backs her little butthole up against my head at night, right here. And when we get, all right, so when my husband spoons that big one will wall his eyes at me and looks like, I don't want him. I want you. So when my husband drifts off to sleep, that big beagle scoots over and then gets in the crook of my legs. So through the night, I break out in a sweat because I'm in perimenopause, and it's right here in the back of my neck. Dr. Oz said it. Okay, so then I'm sweating like I've done Zumba all night. And my husband snores. It depends on if he's put on weight. If he's stressed out at work, he'll put on weight. He'll eat a bunch of white flour. And then he snores a different way. But if he's playing tennis and he's watching what he eats, this is really how he snores. He starts going, pew, it's enough to kill you. Okay, you can set a watch by it. Sometimes it's just a puff of air, and it's on my head with a butthole right here, with a big beagle right here. So that's your nighttime routine of perimenopause. Look at how beautiful they are. See, they still have their bloom. Good for y'all. Y'all are probably out doing yoga. Okay, I have given up. All right. I want to talk to y'all about, because I am 51 and going through hormonal changes. Okay, I am with their daddy, and these children all walked off and left me with him. And he's so not fun. And he can't help it. He's that way because he has to make a living for all of us. And he's got a lot on us, and all the money's going out the window. And, you know, because we got 2 in college, we just had 1 get married. But he and I are having to adjust being together for the first time in how many years, you know, before we got married. And so he sends me emoji, kissy faces, and stuff like that. But I am low on progesterone and testosterone. He's low on testosterone, praise God. I've got too much estrogen, which evidently makes you hateful and bitter and angry. And so I sweat all night, just like I've done jazzercise in the bed all night. And I wake up, I've got sweat right here in the back of my head. My head just looks like fuzz in the back. And my husband, okay, so I put it on 67, and he says, I can see my breath, and that's a lie. But he's having to wear pajamas for the first time in our marriage, and we've got 2 beagle hounds that we're in love with because his children are gone. And so we've got a big one, and he takes the big beagle and spoons the big beagle at night. And I've got the little beagle, the little pocket beagle that we rescued, and she's got a nervous tick and eats our furniture and our fabric like a goat. But anyway, they sleep in the bed with us, and the bed is so nasty. Okay, so the little beagle, so he's spooning the big one. The little beagle backs her little butthole up to my head. And sleeps up against me all night. I love her. And in the morning, I can hear my husband when he gets up, he's kissing that big beagle, and he's going, and I'm so thankful. My husband is a big old man, 6'4". Very Superman-like, broad shoulders, narrow hips. He weighs about 230, 250 if we're all on gluten. I am 5'8", I'm a big girl, and we breed big kids. So we had all these beautiful tall children, And my girls ended up playing volleyball and travel volleyball all over the United States, but they grew to be 5'8" and 5'9". We thought they were going to be taller. They wanted to be 6 feet so badly, and I finally said, you know, do you really want to go into the transgender store and get your shoes? You know. But anyway, so my baby child grew really quick, really fast, and I think it's all that chicken I fed her. Now we don't eat any hormones and anything, but you know, back then we didn't know. So anyway, she grew really quick, really fast, and in elementary she was about 5'5", 5'6", and so she was taller than all the little children, and the principal and all the teachers. And she hated it. Was so self-conscious, but the good news is very athletic, very strong, and so all these teams around East Tennessee would call me and ask me, can she play goalkeeper for me in soccer? I'll buy her an iPhone. I'm not kidding. Can she play basketball for me? Because you just didn't see girls that tall and that strong and at that age. And I felt like LeBron James's mama. Is that him? LeBron James, little mama. And I lived through her, and I made her do all of that, and she hated it. She hated it. And so one day she came to us and she goes, I'm sick of all this and I'm not doing it anymore. She said, I want to cheer. I said, well, baby, we're big people, and I said, we don't tumble, but I'll try to figure this out. So I found out in the United States there's called competition cheer. And we have it here in Knoxville. It's called the Sharks. Oh, y'all, it is summer finally. I know, I'm so tickled that we now got spring and we're about to get into summer. Okay. It's bathing suit time. I know y'all are tickled. To go and try on bathing suits. Yay. I'd rather take a bullet. But it's that thing everybody has to do. I did a big show for a bunch of women one time, and a woman came up to me and said, have you ever seen the swim dress at Land's End at Sears? And I was like, no, I'm not dead yet, but she goes, no, I'm not, it'll change your life. So I go to the Sears in my hometown. Have y'all been to Sears lately? There's not a soul in Sears. There's nobody shopping, nobody working. The lights are all on. I thought, are they running dope out of Sears? But I got a swim dress, and I'm beautiful in it. I am beautiful in it. It covers up all my boogity-boo. Okay, so what I've worn for years, over the years, is a miracle suit. The miracle suit is at department stores. It's got a tag on it that says lose 10 pounds in 10 minutes. And you do, because you sweat yourself to death trying to get it on. Because it's a one piece, and there's a girdle in it. I know, gross. Okay, have you eaten? All right, there's a girdle in it, so it smooths you out real cute through here. You look real nice through here because it squeezes your fat out and every other hole. And don't get it wet. Somebody will have to cut it off of you. So I bought it for years. I bought it and I looked terrible in it. And I knew it, so I'd buy a big sarong and like wrap it around my body and then act like I'm reading a book. Okay, so my good friend knew that I was buying miracle suits. She goes, I want one. So she took her 14-year-old girl and they went to the department store and they got in the dressing room and the 14-year-old was sacking her mama up in this bathing suit. They both broke out in a sweat over their lip. And the 14-year-old said, "Ew, gross. Mom, put it back, let's get out of here." She said, "I can't, I gotta buy it. I just peed in it." Thank y'all so much. He is so smart. He can do anything. He's gonna take care of everything. He's gonna work like a mule. And I'm just gonna have a ball. I'm just gonna diddle, 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 diddle. Well, we married, and I had my first baby by him. And it dawned on me one day. I thought, he's smart at work. Not at home. And I thought, oh no, surely I'm not in charge. Surely I'm not going to be the one to have to tend all this. Because it was like 3 years before that, I was dancing to Prince, When Doves Cry. You know, I was like, well, let me tell you when it really freaked me out. I had my second baby. She was born April the 3rd. This was the last week of March. I was going to go at any time and give birth. And a big snow came in East Tennessee. There was snow on the ground. And I had my oldest baby, Charlie, was 2. He had quit taking a nap, was still in diapers. But he was a precious baby, but very active. And he would beat on the front door trying to get out so he could run down the yellow line of the highway. And I was worn to a frazzle. And I was about to give birth at any minute, and I got strep real bad. And my OBGYN was Pete, who was in our Sunday school class. And he was so cute. And I hated for him to see me that way. But Pete said, "You got a horrible case of strep. I'm going to have to put you in the hospital, Leanne, overnight. You're going to have to get a bag of fluids and rest." And I said, "For real? For real? I get to go in the hospital overnight? It's like somebody sent me to Turks and Caicos." They took me to the hospital, Chuck and had our 2-year-old Charlie, and they dropped me off early that morning and then disappeared. And didn't come back until late that night. And I said, "Where have you been?" And he went, "Nowhere." I said, "What are you doing wearing a sweatsuit and you're sweating?" He said, "Okay, Leanne, I've been playing basketball at the rec center." I said, "Full court?" He went, "Yeah, why?" I go, "Who was watching our baby while you were playing full court basketball?" And I looked down and my baby's got on a diaper swollen down to his ankles. And I said, "What has he eaten?" And he said, "Eaten?" I said, "Chuck, listen to me." I go, "They're going to discharge me tomorrow at noon and they need you to bring me an outfit." Let me tell y'all what he brought me to the hospital. He brought me a pair of panties that were a triangle with strings on it. My belly button was that big. My stomach was out to here. I had to somehow try to get these panties on. I think I was crowning. Those panties were the size of Mark Anthony. He brought me a pair of 6-inch pumps. Black pumps. Okay, you girls that are my age, do y'all remember when Kathy Lee Gifford had her own line of maternity wear at Walmart? Did y'all remember that? It was to die for. It was very inexpensive, basic pieces, mix and match. I loved it. And then something happened with a sweatshop overseas. And they shut her down and I was devastated. But anyway, he brought me a pair of Kathy Lee Gifford summer capris. Summer. There was snow on the ground in East Tennessee. Summer capri. He brought me a summer top that was not maternity. So it hit me about right there. And then a big old fake fur black coat that I definitely danced a prince in a club, honey. And I remember those sweet nurses rolling me out. And I know they got back in that hospital and looked at each other and said, "She's a prostitute." Let me tell y'all about my precious grandbabies. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yummy, yummy, yummy. I'm in love with them, and I hope I have 10 more, but I've got 2 boys, and they are 2 and 4. And my oldest one calls me Grandmama. And when he spends the night, he'll hold on to the railing and hold on to my hand, and he'll say, "Hold on, Grandmama, hold on." He thinks I'm feeble. It's very different being a mama than a grandmama. They're both wonderful, but they're very different. This is the difference, I think. When my babies want something, I'm going to give it to them. And my boy and his wife are wonderful parents, but they say that lives here in Chattanooga has always had a lot of suitors coming around and wanting to date her. And she had this one, and he was I wouldn't say an Eddie Haskell, but he was a schmoozer. Like he knew he was a player, okay? Their daddy's not a player, okay? My husband, he doesn't chat. Like he vacuumed out my car when he was dating me, and he bought my cigarettes, so that's how we started. But anyway, it was the 80s. But anyway, the young people call it playa, some fast-talking boy. She had this fast-talking boy coming around, and he would say to me things like, "Miss Morgan, you look beautiful today." And I was like, "Can I make you a casserole?" Thank goodness they broke up, because I was exhausted. I was mopping the floor and blowing my hair out every day. My girls are emotional, and I don't mean to talk about them because I love them and I know they'll visit me in the nursing home, but they are lunatics. My husband says they're psycho and they need therapy. And I'll give you all an example. I can be in the pickup line at school, and this happened when they were in 1st grade, and it happens every day when I pick them up at school now. I'm sitting in the pickup line, and I can see them come out, and they are in a good mood. And they're goosing each other and giggling and doing and talking and having a good time. They're waving to the teachers and the principal. See you tomorrow. Okay. Then they come over to my vehicle. Get in. Shut the door. My 11-year-old take her backpack and sling it and hit me in the back of the head with it. Every day she says something like this: "I'm starving to death. You don't have a piece of cheese in this car?" "Your driving's making me car sick." I hate her. Why'd you have her? And then my baby will be sitting up there in a daze. She'll be going, "Mama, mama, 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 mama." "What?" "Mama, mama, mama." "What? I'm listening." She asked me some of the craziest things. One day she said to me, "Did Jesus ever have head lice?" How do you answer something like that? I said, "Well, baby, if he did, I know he healed it." And then my girls would be whipping each other in the back seat and telling each other how bad they hate each other and they wished each other were dead. And then my sweet boy will come out. He'll get in and he'll say, "You know, they're building a new Home Depot up on 281. And I know that I eat emotionally, but I never wanted to ride around in a minivan on dope or alcohol with little children in the car. I didn't want to drink whiskey. So my kids would get to fighting and my husband would say something hateful like, "What have you done all day?" And that would make me so mad, and I'd eat a hot dog, and I didn't even know what happened. But Weight Watchers has a point system. So say you get like 23 points out of the day, and you got to go within those points, and they'll say, "Fruits and vegetables are free." You don't want fruits and vegetables. When you first start, you're so hungry that you could eat the wallpaper off the wall. A chicken breast is 3 points. A Snicker bar is 12 points. That's what you want. I've been known to be in the closet turning a lamp on and off, eating a sleeve of Chips Ahoy cookies. So I try to stay within my points. All right, my sister will go on it every time I will, and she lives in Clarksville, Tennessee, and she'll call me and she'll say, "It's noon and I've eaten all my points." Taylor Swift is running the United States of America. But don't y'all know that Taylor Swift looks at that big old Kelsey boy's mama and thinks, "Look at her, she's got on a sensible shoe." She's got on a sensible shoe and a nice jean, a high waist with some stretch. And don't you know that Taylor Swift is thinking, "I know that little doll put in a pot roast in the crock pot before she came to this NFL football game so that they would have something to eat when this thing was over." And you know that his mama browned that roast in a skillet with flour. I know. Of course she wants to have a baby with him and his people. Anyway, thanks for letting me go off on that rant. It's just been on my mind. I'm worried sick. There's 5 love languages, and you get the book, you read the book. Well, you don't really, I don't read the book. But anyway, you take the test, and it tells you what your prominent love language is out of those 5, and it tells you what your partner's love language is. So then you can go home at night and feed your partner their love language, and they can feed you your love language, and then your love tank feels full. And if you don't do it, then your partner's liable to go to work and they're at the water fountain and some whore comes in. So I had never been on these kind of trips that I'm talking about. So most of the time these trips are somewhere tropical, and that's all wonderful. And I don't mean to sound that I'm not grateful for it, but that means that I've got to go and try on a bathing suit in the dead of winter before the end of January, early February, and I'd rather take a bullet. And I'm sure there's some girls here tonight that love to try on a bathing suit in the dead of winter. But us East Tennessee girls like to eat pork sausage. And I've been prepping for this trip for 25 years, and I think every year I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better. I'm going to tone. I'm going to do better, and I don't have to buy a miracle suit this year. I won't have to buy a one-piece bathing suit with a girdle in it. No. And don't ever buy a lavender one. Okay. I can't even think about going on one of these trips until I can get through Christmas. And I don't mean to sound like everything falls on me, but everything falls on me. I love my family, but they don't do anything to help me. I do all the decorating, the cooking, the cleaning, the wrapping, the shopping, all that. Last year, on December the 24th, my husband said to me, "Can I help you do anything?" And I said, "I'm going to beat you to death." And I can't think about this trip because I got to get ready for Christmas. And I get so torn up that I want to take to the bed. I want to take to the bed. But I can't take to the bed because if I take to the bed, nobody's going to have Christmas. And in my twisted mind, I think, oh, I can lose 40 pounds in 4 weeks. Yeah, I'll be all right. I can just do Weight Watchers again. Because that's been so successful for me. I've done every diet in the world. My mama and my sister and I took Dexatrim. When I was 17 years old, I'm the youngest. You could buy it everywhere. Do y'all remember Dexatrim? Yeah. It was speed. We took speed as a family. We would take Dexatrim and our heads would itch and we'd fight in the yard. We did. Okay, we go into this basement of this hotel, and it's a basement. And there are no lights, no poles, nothing like that. There's a tiny little stage with the bar is built around it. And it's got a low ceiling. So all these women that dance there that are over 5 feet tall have to dance like this. We go in there, and this is the impersonation the hair and makeup people had of me. They said that I held my purse all night and went. After I was there for a while, I realized there's people that like to go to this place. First of all, darling gay men. Darling, precious gay men. And I don't know if it's because, hey, I don't know if it's because y'all like to encourage and lift up and cheer. You know? I think so, you doll. Okay, and then women's groups. Women's groups go. That sounds like Bible study. Not that. It's like girls with cowboy hats on and boas, and they're going for bachelorettes and birthday, and they're going, oh, that kind of girl. And then serial killers. Serial killers like to go. I know I looked in the face of a serial killer. The first woman that came out was at least 70 years old. And before I start talking about these little women, I don't want y'all to feel bad and go, Leanne's making fun of little women trying to make a living. Ain't nobody making any money, all right? Nobody. This ain't about the money. And it's sweet that they let everybody participate. But anywho, all right, that little woman comes out, and she's got on a pump about that long, but her little foot's about that long, and it was swimming around in that big pump. And after more people came out, I thought, nobody's shoes fit. Everybody was sliding around and dancing in their shoes. And I thought, there must be a big pile of shoes in the back. And they tell them, get you on a pair of shoes before you go out there and dance. But this little woman had on a denim pair of shorts and a tank top, and that's what she danced in. And it looked like somebody would wear that on a Saturday morning in the Dollar General store. That's what it looked like. Looked like somebody that would go in there and go, you know, I just need some Diet Dr. Pepper and a couple of cans of Hormel chili. The second woman that came out was a young girl. I think she was probably about 30. And she had blonde curly hair and black horn rimmed glasses. She was very enthusiastic. She came out and she was like, I thought, who does she look like? Ooh, Mrs. Frizzle on Magic School Bus. On PBS, my kids love that show. And that little thing danced in a 4th of July patriotic themed red, white, and blue bra and panty set. And I'll just tell y'all, it was a little dingy. And as a mother, all I could think of when that little thing was dancing was, man, I wish I could take that bra and panty set home and biz that overnight. Oh, you can do anything with biz. I love biz. I thought if I could just get a Tupperware bowl, put about that much biz in it, then fill it with water, soak that bra and panty set overnight. I know. Oh, y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Well, I like doing laundry. Okay. But you know, that night I walked away thinking two things. I really did. First, I thought, you know what? If times get bad. If times get bad, I think I'd be a big deal there. I do. Thank you. I'm tall. I'd have to hinge at the hip. The second thing I thought was, Satan wasn't there. I don't think Satan was there. I think Satan was like, I'm good. Let me tell you a little bit about my husband. My husband is very smart and very quiet and an introvert and does very well, and then married me, and we've been exactly the opposite, but it has worked. He's a big man. He's 6'4". He can kick a door in, and I like that. He works like a dog. And he loves a baby. Let me tell y'all that he is a baby cuddler at East Tennessee Children's Hospital. He cuddles the drug-dependent babies every week of the world as a volunteer. I know, sweet. He didn't help me with mine. Because he was out making a living and paying for all this. We've got 2 still in college, and I wanted a 4th baby so bad. When my baby child went to kindergarten, I nearly grieved myself to death. I thought, Lord, what am I going to do with all this time on my hands? I hope I don't get hooked on whiskey and start honky-tonking. And about 3 weeks into her going to kindergarten, I was like, woohoo! Woohoo! Now I can go get a pap smear without somebody sitting on my head. But my husband, when I dropped her off, he said, meet me at the IHOP. Because he knows that pancakes get me through a hard time. And I was crying, and I said, I want another baby. And he said, why don't you get a job? Yeah, right. So I said, I want a 4th baby. And he said, y'all are sucking the financial life out of me. So he bought me a dachshund. I had that dachshund for years. She's gone now. But let me tell you, she and I both got thyroid issues. She had cushions. I was walking her in our neighborhood one day, and a little girl came out in her driveway, and she said, "Can I pet your groundhog?" Oh, y'all. So about my husband. All right, so my husband is a big man and is 6'4". I'm 5'8". We breed big kids. And we wanted them to be in sports and when they were growing up, and so we made them do all kinds of mess they didn't want to do. And we put our boy, when he was little bitty, we put him in T-ball. He hated it. I don't know if any of y'all have had a baby play T-ball, but for those of you who don't know, T-ball season, it's about 110 degrees outside. It's little children that are 4 look like they've got a diaper on under their baseball pants or a pull-up. The games last about 3 hours. Nobody ever hits the ball, throws the ball, catches the ball, makes contact with the ball. My baby laid in a fetal position in the outfield the entire season. He never touched a ball. Every once in a while, he'd pop his little head up and say, "Water." One game, it was so hot, and I told the middle one to go out and take her brother a water bottle. She was about 2.5, and she went walking out there with a tutu and a crown and a wand and her pink prostitute shoes from Walmart. She walked about halfway, stopped, got a glazed look over her eyes, pulled her little panties to the side, and pooped in the T-ball field. She really did. So I had to run out there and get a stick and flick it into the woods because I didn't want another child to step in it or think it was a milk dud. He would not play sports for several years because of that trauma. And then ended up playing football and cross country and a bunch of stuff, and still he likes to mountain bike and hike and do scary things, but he likes to come, out west to do it. And he's a fly fisherman. Can y'all tell I'm in love with him? Okay. Okay. They're growing a lot of dope in California. And see, I'm not used to that. Tennessee, there's nothing legal, recreation or medical in Tennessee. But CBD stores have popped up all over Knoxville, Tennessee. And the rumor is the dope is a-coming. And they say that's where the dope is a-going. It's in those CBD stores. So I was with my physical therapist, Justin, and he was working on my sciatica right here and inflammation in my hip. And then sometimes my plantar fasciitis flares up when I'm eating too much bread. And he said, "Leanne, I've been hearing a lot of good things about CBD. I think it's very anti-inflammatory." He goes, "Why don't you, there's a woman that's opened up a CBD store in this strip mall. Why don't you go down there and talk to her when we get finished?" And so I walked down there, and I had to pass the Subway. Sandwiches. And it was hard for me not to go in there because I like that bread. But it causes plantar fasciitis. But anyway, I go in that CBD store, and it smells like patchouli and Subway. And that little woman's in there, and she's a hippie-looking little woman. I don't know why I'm doing that. Okay. She looks like one of those little women in North Carolina that likes to blow glass. Some of you girls in Asheville, North Carolina. She looks like one of those little artsy women that likes to wear a clog. You know, maybe go to a storytelling festival on the weekend. Yeah, she had hair under her arms. And I thought, you know what, I get it, I'm tired too. I get it. But anyway, she said, I think I can help you. And she went and got a bag of gummies. And it had Delta 8 written on them. No. I know. What is Delta 8? I still don't know what it is. But I do feel like if dope's right here, it must be right up under dope. And they may be sprinkled with LSD, maybe. She said, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to take one a night, and you got to be consistent over time with it. And I was like, okay. It scared me to death. And I got it in the car, and I thought, I better not drive fast. And I got it home, and Chuck Morgan was there. And I didn't tell him what I had done. And I went, hey. I got it and took it back and put it in my closet. And I waited until nightfall. And I was scared to death. I took a nibble off of one, just a nibble. I didn't even take a whole one, just a nibble. And I don't know if this was in my head, but 20 minutes later, my heart was beating out of my body. And I thought, oh my Lord, I'm in AFib. I'm in AFib. And I need to go to the emergency room right now. But I thought, I didn't tell Chuck Morgan what I'd done. And he's not going to know what to tell the doctor. Everything went through my head. Then I started thinking, the police are coming. The police are coming. I sat up until 2 a.m. monitoring my own heart rate. I eventually fell off to sleep, but it wasn't a good sleep. I wallered in the bed. And for all the people in the United States, wallering means I wallered in the bed. And I just wallered. I wallered all night in the bed and dreamed horrible things. I dreamed that me and John Wayne fought Ricardo Montalban on horseback all night. I've never taken another one of those gummies, but I didn't throw them away. They're in my closet. I don't make eye contact with them. I just walk by them.